Belmont Club is a weblog that I started in late 2003, and which acquired over time a fairly large readership. Its readership is 95% United States, and it's fairly well regarded in certain subject areas. Information warfare, amazingly, and general commentary on political and security affairs. Well, though I live in Sydney, in internet space, I probably live in the United States. I've had a long interest in public policy matters. I have a master's degree in public policy from Harvard University, and essentially I trained as a public policy analyst, and along the way became all manner of other things. I became a software developer, a forestry consultant, and after 9/11, I felt that I had to do something and began to write stuff on the internet. Well, as you may have deduced, 2003 isn't exactly right after 9/11. The intention came right after 9/11, but I began really in late 2003, and the rise of the Belmont Club is an example, and there are other sites which are similar in experience. It's an example of how something comes to the fore simply on the strength of its own content. I wrote pseudonymously. Nobody knew who I was. There's a saying that on the internet nobody knows if you're a dog, but the thing of it was that you had an audience which said, hey, here's a good dog. We like the way this dog barks. And after a while, you started getting validation, as it were, from respectable sites. So I've been interviewed by the Baltimore Sun, quoted by the Times of London, the New York Times. I've written jacket cover quotes for books by Harvard University Press, and have received and informally consult with individuals who I thought I would never, and probably would never have met in the course of my ordinary non-internet life. It probably stayed at around the 200 hit a week thing in the beginning, and then at some point it began really snowballing until it went to hundreds of hits per minute. Or yeah, that's right. It can click up to 40,000 page views per day. One of the techniques to being a successful weblog author is to develop a relationship with your audience. It's fundamentally different from the art of writing an op-ed, in the sense that you understand what your audience wants. They in fact feed you leads, and I don't know what I would do without the leads. I have a remarkable stable of readers, some of whom are ex-military individuals, some of whom are distinguished academics, others who are veterans of recent combat, others who have been fairly distinguished missileers, and although the subject is all out in the open, the different ways in which they approach it, and the maturity with which they approach the subjects and feed you leads essentially contributes to the quality of the site. So if you develop your audience and respond intelligently to them, they will reward you with not only their readership, but also they will provide, in good old-fashioned Web 2.0 fashion, sort of pre-content. The word blog is short for weblog, which in the etymology is that it's a web diary. It's kind of like Dear Diary. The Belmont Club isn't quite that, because it's essentially I write an essay form. I generate about 900 words per essay, and can on some days generate about 2,700 words a day, but more typically I will generate something like 1,000 words per day every day. because of my background and life experience, I am drawn to philosophical issues as they apply to human and social conflict. And you can look at the world through just the straight narrative lens, or you can see it as in the way Tolstoy or Dostoevsky might have wanted to see it, and maybe as I would aspire to see it. Anyone who wants to make a living writing on the internet would be advised not to, unless he can generate something like 100,000 hits per day, in which case his advertising traffic might justify working full-time on it. However, writing on the internet is a tremendous networking tool. I can't tell you how tremendous it is. I can hardly believe how great a networking tool it is. If you have a good day job, if you're a doctor who really cares about a subject, or an academic who really cares about or any person who has an engagement with the world, I would recommend that you have, or you at least try to establish your own site. It's easier today because of the ubiquity of wireless broadband. I think that typically it'll take about an hour a day to generate, 1,500, 20. If I have more time, 3 hours gets you 2,700 words. Sometimes 30 minutes gets you 2,700 words. It depends on how you feel. And over time, you become fairly good at it. And it's like everything else. Practice makes perfect. And once you get to a particular point, you have the subject familiarity and the facility to, just to pull aces out of your sleeve. Well, I was invited to the launch of Pajamas Media in 2005, and at some point I was actually their Sydney editor, and then they realized there was no real need for a Sydney editor, and so that kind of connection stopped. But I still write on their, what I suppose is their premium commentary site with some pretty distinguished people. So that's pretty interesting coming from nowhere. And so what I would like to say is that Pajamas Media is an enterprise which is trying to understand or feeling its way forward to develop a new media model in a world where the old media is tumbling down. Whether they'll get it right, I don't know. But one thing you can say is that they're trying, and they may luck out. Right. And if they do, then I'll be part of that. Where does the Belmont Club go from here? Well, basically, it'll probably stay in its current form. It's reached the limit of its development in its current form. I think that what I need to do now is create ancillary services. What it is you need to create collateral sources of information that will support the Belmont Club community, and which will create the foundation for whatever it might be.